Okay, so this week's episode of Archetypes was a little bit more complex than usual. Now, for those of you who followed me or followed Archetypes by Meghan Markle, you'll know the format is usually fairly simple. She starts off the show with a long introduction in which she introduces the word of the day, a bit like Sesame Street.
The word conflict.
Conflict!
And usually the guests are very sort of one-dimensional characters who essentially act as props and come onto the show to engage in a very scripted conversation about a given trope, the word of the day, which, while Meghan tries to advertise as deep and meaningful conversation, is in effect just a very patronising, shallow discussion about things that have been common knowledge for generations, almost like it's been made for kids. It's exactly like Sesame Street. But there was something very different about this week's episode, and in particular, the conversation that Meghan has with British actress Jameela Jamil. So we're going to listen to a few snippets of the conversation between Meghan Markle and Jameela Jamil. Now, she does come across as quite narcissistic and self-obsessed. But there's more to it. I recognised the name Jameela Jamil, and then I looked at photos of her on Google, and I thought, I know her from somewhere, I'm not sure what. And then I vaguely remembered that there was some sort of controversy between her and some journalists over the last few years, which she then went into in the interview with Meghan. And I have to say, I had quite a hard time trying to decipher how much of what she says is true, how much of it is false, how much of it is embellished. And the same thing for the people who criticise her. I can't work out how much of it is sort of a media pile-on for clout, how much of what they're saying is embellishing or twisting her words. And then there's just her personality. In the interview, as I said, with Meghan, you're going to see she comes across as quite self-obsessed and narcissistic. However, going down the rabbit hole of all of the controversies she's had over the last few years, I thought I needed to go away and look at a few more interviews with Jameela Jamil to better grasp her personality. And a few things really surprised me and for me would set her apart from people like Meghan Markle. The first thing was that she's very articulate and what she's saying actually has some meaning behind it. It's not just vacuous, inane drivel. Another thing that I noticed, which really surprised me again, was that she came across in many of the interviews that I watched as very genuinely witty and charming. And not charming in a narcissistic way, but in a very endearing way. I know people say sometimes that narcissists are charming, but they're charming in a way that's sort of too slick. You know, they know the right thing to say for the first few lines of a conversation. Whereas with Jameela Jamil, she was genuinely funny, if somewhat annoying. I think depending on your personality, you might find her a bit annoying. But more than anything else, I noticed she was very self-aware, which is not a narcissistic trait. She seemed to know what her weak points were and what people might find annoying about her. And as I say, she came across as quite witty and intelligent. However, she does seem to have a bit of a victim complex, and I think sitting down and having a conversation with Meghan Markle probably brings out the worst in her. Anyway, let's just get into it, shall we? Because that's a really ridiculously Meghan Markle-esque introduction.
For today's episode, I'm talking with two women who know firsthand the change, power, and consequences that come with standing up and using your voice. The 12-year-old me would have wanted the 30-year-old me to do something for the next generation of 12-year-olds. And so that's my motivation.
So that's Jameela Jamil speaking there, and you'll notice I've started about 7 minutes into the podcast because all you need to know from the really long introduction from Meghan is that they're talking about how women, particularly women of colour, when they're activists, when they stand up for something, white men and the patriarchy just want to smash them down. And she's right, you know, when I wake up in the morning every day, I think, yep, I'm a white man. Now, what are those women of colour up to? They better not be doing any activism. Not on my watch.
Actor and activist Jameela Jamil. And
I was hoping that one day the people of Iran would be as free as the people in the UK or the US.
I thought Miles Davis was dead.
But never thought that it would start like this.
Iranian-American actor and activist Shohreh Aghdashloo.
Oh, right, yeah, her.
So much to learn here and so much to feel.
Oh, I'm feeling it all right.
Stay with me.
Please stay with me. They're not going to give me a second series.
You're right, babe. Hello. How are you?
Hello. Hello, my friend. How are you doing?
How's things?
Oh my God.
Good. How have you been?
Good. Here. I mean, I haven't seen you in, a year maybe now. We've seen each other twice ever, 3 times ever.
Oh, yeah, twice ever.
So these are the subtle distinctions between Meghan and Jameela. They actually really aren't that subtle, I don't think. So stop calling them subtle, will you? Meghan's biggest problem for me is her absolute lack of self-awareness, which is so extreme that she doesn't know where to put emphasis in a sentence and will laugh at inappropriate times, such as her lack of understanding of the way other people experience the world. It's really clunky and awkward to listen to, and I think it actually fuels the hatred towards Meghan. I've said many times on this channel before, I don't hate Meghan the way other people do. I really think she's a bit of a narcissist. I think she lacks self-awareness. I'm not sure how malevolent she is. You know, I see a lot of comments on my videos, and I see other YouTubers and things who are all absolutely entitled to their opinions. You know, I think famous people, if they put themselves out there, they have to accept that people are going to dissect every single thing that they do. But I'm not so sure I agree that she's as evil as everyone makes out, right? I think that, yes, she's a narcissist. Yes, she's probably a bit manipulative or very manipulative, but only to people who are going to allow themselves to be manipulated by such an obviously shallow person. I don't sympathise with Prince Harry, for example, because I just feel like the same thing wouldn't happen to a more intelligent person. Narcissists, at the end of the day, feed on weak and feeble-minded people. I think it is important to bear in mind the lack of self-awareness that narcissists have, because in their minds, the film that's playing in their head is one of a victim who is underappreciated by society, right? I'm sure that Meghan, I've got to be honest, doesn't come across as the most intelligent narcissist I've ever seen. I'm sure in her head she thinks she's just going through life, doing all this charity work and philanthropy, and talking to women about how tropes are holding women back, particularly women of colour. And I think in her head she's just a really good person. From the outside looking in, we can see that she's being manipulative, she has toxic behaviour. We can see a narcissist. Narcissists can't see themselves.
How have you been?
Good. Here. I mean, I haven't seen you in, a year maybe now. We've seen each other twice ever.
The tone, the amount of hilarity in her voice is not normal for what they're just saying. We've seen each other like twice ever.
3 times ever.
Oh, yeah, twice ever.
Compared to Jameela, yeah, twice ever. I know I'm nitpicking, but those things are really, they jump out at me.
That is the one and only Jameela Jamil, an actor, an activist, and a friend.
Oh, poor Meghan. She just said you've only met twice ever. She's not your friend.
Who, as you can hear from her voice, is so refreshing.
I heard from her voice that she was English and quite posh.
And a really bright spot in this world.
What is this, wine tasting? I'm getting refreshing. A really bright spot in this world. Just the way she said, twice ever. It really came across.
She starred in some very funny and popular TV series, recently playing supervillain and businesswoman Titania on the Marvel series She-Hulk, Attorney at Law.
Oh, God. She-Hulk. I feel I might have missed the ship on that one, but should have made some videos about that. It's bloody awful.
And before that, you might remember Jameela from a little show called The Good Place. And by little, I mean huge. The show was amazing.
Megsy. That old Meghan wit. You got us again.
But when it comes to Jameela's life off-screen, for some years now, activism has played a starring role.
Oh, how interesting. Please tell us about that.
And she's been inspired to get active by her own life experiences, such as her struggle with anorexia. In 2018, after gaining international fame on The Good Place, Jameela created I Weigh.
Okay, so here is where it all gets a little bit weird with Jameela Jamil. You just heard there how she claims to have had anorexia. and she set up this charity or whatever it is called I Weigh, which is about promoting body positivity, right? This conventionally beautiful woman is patronizing the less gifted women of the world about how it's fine. You know, if you don't look as good as me, it's fine. I was anorexic, so, and a lot of people have disputed that. But, hey, who am I? You know, I don't know how litigious she is, so I don't want to accuse her of anything. What I can say is that Jameela Jamil has made a number of claims about her health over the years, and a lot of them are quite dubious, and she's contradicted herself on many occasions. Let's just read a list of things that Jameela Jamil has suffered from. She claims to be partially deaf. She claims to suffer from severe shellfish and peanut allergies, celiac disease. She had mercury poisoning from the fillings in her teeth. She had breast cancer on one occasion and cervical cancer on 2 occasions. She has spinal injuries which occurred from running away from a bee in London, and she ran into traffic apparently. Now, the problem is, all of those things could have happened. They could be lies, or some of them could be true and could be, there could be a whole mixed bag there. The thing is, she has contradicted herself quite a few times. For example, with the peanut allergy, she was photographed with a big pretzel full of peanut butter on Instagram. It's not like somebody snapped it, she just forgot that she had peanut allergy. And then she claimed that she'd grown out of it, which, is possible. Some people did grow out of peanut allergies. I don't know. The bee incident, running away from a bee and into traffic. It seems that in one interview she claimed she ran away from a bee when she was a teenager on Hampstead High Street, got hit by a car, and she was bedridden for 2 years or 1 year, depending on the article, depending on the interview. And then on another occasion, she claims that while she was filming The Good Place in 2016, a swarm of about 500 bees, I don't know how she counted them, about 500 bees chased her into the oncoming traffic. Again. And apparently, I think, I could be getting them mixed up myself now, so, I can't go into it all, it's too much, but I think Mark Ronson, the music producer, was there, and he said, or she said he was there, and on one occasion he said, I don't remember that. And then on another occasion he said, oh, yeah, there may have been a couple of bees. I don't know. Anyway, because of all of these claims that she's made over the years about her health and about accidents and stuff, it has led to a lot of high-profile journalists, amongst them Piers Morgan, calling her out and accusing her of having Munchausen syndrome, which is basically where people pretend to be ill for sympathy. And her reaction to being accused of having Munchausen syndrome was really, I think, didn't help her very much. Because first of all, she just said everyone was lying about her, which, maybe some of them are, maybe all of them are, God knows. Though she does seem to genuinely contradict herself quite a lot. But part of her response to the criticism and the accusations was to claim that she had another disorder called Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. Which, again, I don't know, maybe she does have it. But it's a disease that affects your connective tissues and makes your joints all flexible and it doesn't show any outward symptoms. So, a lot of people accuse those people of having Munchausen syndrome, which I'm not really sure how that relates to cancer and allergies and getting chased by bees into oncoming traffic. But hey, there you go. Her husband came to her defense saying that I'm there for her swollen joints, her dislocations, her severe allergic reactions, her constant high fevers. I was there for her concussion, her 3 months of seizures when doctors gave her the cancer diagnosis, for all her operations and their complications due to EDS. So, I don't know. It seems to me like there could be a combination of truth, lies, embellishment on both sides. It's too complicated. I don't know.
I wish I hadn't told myself when I was younger that my entire worth as a human being depended on a number on a weighing scale.
Now, at first, it was an Instagram account focused around body positivity. But now, I Weigh is a multi-platform community and movement which seeks to use storytelling to mobilize people to action across a variety of issues, from climate change to mental health to the representation of marginalized groups.
Oof, sounds like a right laugh.
So I wanted to understand how Jameela gets inspired, how she stays inspired, and courageously uses her voice and platform. So we started with the inception of iWay.
So iWay started as an accident because I'd joined Instagram in, I think, 2016 or something, because I had to promote a new show I was on called The Good Place, and I'd never
Which was a
really...
huge success and really catapulted you into stardom here. We binge watched it. We loved it.
And my character Tahani insists that she introduced you and Harry, of course.
Oh my God, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah. So I was on Instagram and I kept on seeing these posts that were just in the explore page, clearly directed at me because I'm a woman of a certain age. And it was just female celebrities with numbers written across their body. And when I would click on their pictures, the number wasn't how many awards they'd won, or I don't know how much their net worth is, which is something that we see a lot with men. It was how much they weigh. And then once I'd clicked on one because of the algorithm, then I started being bombarded with dozens of these pictures of famous, powerful women who'd broken records, women who'd started empires, a group photograph of the Kardashians with just their weight written across their bodies. And I was like, when would you ever see a picture of any men, never mind a group of businessmen? Because they are business women. Whatever anyone might think of them, they're an empire. No one's ever done what they've done before.
I think it's like with everything, there is a legitimate point to be made there that the objectification of women, I don't think in itself is a problem all the time, but obsessing over celebrities' weight, that could be problematic. But then, I also think it's problematic when you see stuff like the Spanish government releasing their summer holidays poster this year. I can't believe I didn't make a video about this at the time, because it even came out in the BBC. This was a poster designed by the Spanish government, and it's titled El verano también es nuestro. So it means like the summer belongs to us too, right? And you've got all of these unconventionally attractive women. You've got one who's missing a breast. You've got this larger lady at the front on the right here, who, by the way, has had her photo taken without her consent, right? They've taken her photo off her Instagram page and changed the bikini with Photoshop. And then you've got a similar story with these two here, who I think are supposed to represent lesbians, whose photos were also taken from Instagram and edited without their consent. But hold up a second, what do we have here? A conventionally attractive woman. Is the summer for her too? I shit you not. They put a photo of a woman with one leg without her consent and restored the leg. But added a little bit of armpit hair. So body positivity is all very well and good, but I think the pendulum can swing too far sometimes. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave this video here for today. I've got to make a second part because I didn't even get into the interview. It's so mental. There's so much to talk about, and I'm sorry if I've gone on a little bit, but I'm absolutely making the next part tomorrow. So see you for that. Like, share, and subscribe, please. Thank you. Share it everywhere. See you in the next one.